Today I'm going to show you a really cool unilateral glute activation. What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to show you one of my favorite unilateral glute activation exercises, meaning it's just going to activate one glute at a time. Before you do this exercise, however, make sure that you stretch your hip flexors out beforehand. I just made a video about that. You can check it out over here or in the description down below. But by stretching the hip flexors out prior to doing glute activations, you actually increase the range of motion that your hip has going into extension, which will allow the glutes to contract more, which in turn results in them getting stronger. So don't miss the opportunity to give your glutes a little bit more contraction. Make sure you mobilize the hips first. Now, there are two reasons why I really like this exercise. One is that it's unilateral. Okay, so if you've been watching my videos lately, you're going to hear me talking a lot about unilateral exercises that work one side of the body and then the other side of the body, but it works each side in isolation from one another. The reason why I like that is because it's really conducive to working out muscle imbalances. So if you're somebody that does deadlifts and squats and then the next day only your left ass cheek is sore and your right feels fine, it's probably because you have muscle imbalances in your glutes, right? Your left cheek is working harder than the right cheek. So if you fall in that category, then this exercise is going to be really good for you. The second reason why I like this exercise is because it's really good for people that have synergistic dominance of the hamstrings. And that means if you ever do like a glute exercise like hip thrusters and you feel your hamstrings kick on, you really feel them working, and then the next day you're sore in your hamstrings, not in your up high in your butt cheeks and the muscle fibers of the glutes, that means that you have synergistic dominance of the hamstrings, meaning that the hamstrings want to take over and do all the work for the glutes, and the glutes don't get a chance to activate. So I actually made a video about that. You can check that out over here or in the description down below a long time ago. But I kind of talk about that a little bit more comprehensively. But the point is, this exercise is great for working out muscle imbalances and also helping the glutes fire and kind of shutting down the hamstrings. Okay, so to set up for this exercise, really what you need is just a wall and your body weight, okay, and a little bit of space. But what you're going to do is you're going to lay down on your back and you're going to get into regular hip thruster position, okay, which kind of looks just like this, okay. And now from here, what you're going to do is you're going to pull the heels in as close to your butt as possible. In fact, try to get your heels on your butt, okay. And now the problem with doing this without a wall, which is what I've showed in the past, is typically your quadriceps will kind of engage while you're doing this, and you'll find that your body is kind of slipping this way, which is causing your feet to go out further from your butt, which will allow those hamstrings to kick in, okay, which we don't want. We're trying to strengthen the glutes, not the hamstrings. So basically, by shortening the hamstrings, okay, all the way, by keeping the heels glued to the butt, we inhibit the hamstrings, okay? We stop them from firing. But if you start sliding this way, then they can start to fire again. So this is where the wall comes in. You're basically going to use the wall and you're going to push into it to make sure that your butt is all the way to the heels, okay? Just like this. And then from here, you can, basically what I want you to do, actually I forgot I was showing you the unilateral version, is you're going to lift one leg up, okay, just like this. You're going to keep your pelvis as level as possible. You try not to twist or roll at anything. Keep the arms kind of tense because you're pushing your butt into the heel. You're just going to thrust right up and then down like this. Really using that glute muscle on that side, okay? And then you're gonna do the same thing on the other side. What you don't want to allow to happen here is when you lift up, you kind of torque the pelvis like this. That's gonna aggravate your back. If this does aggravate your back, then omit the single leg and do this version instead. And let me know how this goes. Bend the knees again. This time you're just gonna do a bilateral or double leg version, okay? Just like that, okay? And that's pretty much it. So we're strategically shortening the hamstrings all the way so that they can't contract anymore. And we're using the wall to stop ourselves from sliding around further away from the legs, which will allow those the hamstrings to kick on again. So first version was unilateral, one at a time, okay? Just keeping that heel as close to the butt as possible, lifting the other leg up, and trying to keep the pelvis as level as possible while you thrust the hips up. If that's not working out for you, then you can always experiment with the bilateral version, which is where you're doing both legs at one time. Now you can do that first version, the unilateral one, for about 4 sets of 10 repetitions each side. You can progress by eventually like loading up the movement by putting weight on your pelvis, just to make it a little bit harder. But 4 sets of 10 each leg. And then the second one, the bilateral one or the double leg one, again, same rep range for that, 4 sets of 10. You can go a little bit over that if you want to, but 4 sets of 10 is sufficient for most people's goals. Remember, I talked about this in my last video earlier this week. The glutes are super important in terms of their role in stabilizing the lower back and pelvis and the knees, okay? And they just add a lot of power to your movement. So you definitely want to have strong glutes. Glutes are a very underrated muscle group. They don't get enough focus, and you know, this exercise is really good for them, but make sure you couple it with that hip flexor stretch that I talked about at the beginning. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did enjoy it and it added value to you and this exercise helped you out and you're not yet subscribed to my channel, then go ahead and hit subscribe over here. Also give me a like down below when you guys like the video. It helps the channel grow. If you haven't liked me on Facebook yet, do that as well, and give me a follow on Instagram too. I'll include links to both of those in the description down below. Other than that, if you want me to assess you, screen your movement patterns, as well as look at and assess your static posture to identify your muscle imbalances, and then put together a corrective exercise program specific to you to work on those imbalances, then go ahead and open up the description down below and hit coaching. Other than that, as always, have a good one, and I'll see you next time.